they had the Shaman, Queen of Pain, and Phoenix.
What I was getting at with Enchantress is if they were to play it as a support, then no matter which lane IO is in, you can pressure the IO really hard. With like, because it doesn't really matter what creeps you get as long as they're not completely awful. You can just run at IO and annoy it so Tiny doesn't get a good lane. Knowing LGD, they probably put it off lane for RTK though. I don't think they have played it on MMY. They did one game?
Yep. DDC played.
DDC played it, okay. I kind of like that approach more against IO Tiny, to be honest, of playing it as support, because putting it on core can pay off really well, but at the same time, with IO Tiny being so good against it, you could also have a lot of farm kind of going to waste, because you can just get comboed early on.
I think it depends on whether or not you can invade their jungle. If you can park the Ent in the offlane and have someone who can play in their jungle aggressively, then I think it's...
For sure, if you could do that.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah. But then again, you would think, okay, if we can put Enchantress in the offlane and have someone in the jungle, you could also just swap them around and then have the other guy in the offlane be the core instead.
Change, by the way. Which Doctor was the one that LGD went for instead of the Disruptor in the first game today?
They did have very good success with this Disruptor pick against was it Archon? Or no, NewBee had success with it against Archon when the IO was run by Archon in that game. I'm wondering what prompts this change, why they did just go with Witch Doctor again, if that was their approach last time. I think that would have also been good.
I mean, both the heroes do really well, and maybe you could say that Disruptor deals slightly better because you can play one, or you can choose to static on both of them, whereas what Witch Doctor would do is just drop tasks and try to kill them with your ward. Disruptor has much more options.
I also think we've seen Slark rise a lot in stock today. He was picked a lot in last series, he was picked in last game.
Yeah,
Disruptor's much better versus Slark than
really
Doctor.
Good. Yeah. You force the slot into an early BKB.
Off topic, you know, which hero, we had a hero forecast we thought was going to be picked a lot, and it was picked like every single game day one, is Void. Void is like just not a hero after day one. No one has been picking or banning Void. Everyone's just like, I guess Group A kind of showed that Void is kind of a bit shit.
He had a really bad win rate that day.
Yeah, I mean, CDC were the team who played it they had like 5 or 6 games straight on Void.
Yeah,
I think 5.
He played 4 games of Void on that one game.
He played incredible. Like, that's the thing. They were losing though, so.
They were losing, but he was not the reason why I lost. We actually talked about how stats can be misleading, and that being one of the examples, because
I think Void still looks solid, but it's a bit slow paced, perhaps.
Slow pace, yeah. It looks solid, but it's slow pace. You have to like design your draft around the Void a little bit more.
Pick damage for the chrono.
If you compare to like maybe Tide or Enchantress offlane or Prophet offlane, you don't really have to design your draft that much around the hero. Like for Void, you really need to.
This Jugger pick is super good, by the way. There's so many good things to be said about that hero right now. It's great against Enchantress. Both the Blade Fury and the Omni Slash are good tools for bringing her down with her low health. The Healing Ward has really good synergy with Tether. He's one of the carries that can deal with Disruptor pretty well. You have a natural glimpse counter in your arsenal. Very, very good.
I think even the overall strategy, like when they want to be able to, NewBee often win lanes, push towers early, having Healing Ward to back up your Tiny who's sieging the tower is just going to help out a ton. Like, not just the synergy with the Tether, but the synergy with the push and the overall strategy.
Yes. Offlane Enchantress.
Yeah, this gives a lot of information away. I think it was Swindle who said it earlier that he didn't really like when a team did this opening where...
Yeah.
Because now if you're NewBee, you know exactly what you're dealing with already.
Yeah, but for LGD, we know that they always keep Maybe and Silas hero to last. That's just how they pick.
They find that element of surprise.
Yeah, they
more
want that element, obviously, for their own benefit. So you can actually conceal your 2 most important heroes.
Yeah, the way they look at it's like, well, who cares if we reveal our support duo? Like, our support duo is not the... It can have an impact regardless of whether the opponent knows what we're going to be doing.
And it's more about like finding what works for a team. Like, every team has their own thing, you know.
I actually think Slark is really good for LGD.
A bit risky, perhaps?
Why Rubik again? We discussed this a lot just a couple minutes ago.
Other team this time, at least.
And a bit of the same thing Winch mentioned with the jungler having the lift, the creep.
But it's offlane. This game is their offlane Enchantress, so you're probably not going to work so much with the Enchantress.
Like Disruptor Rubik is just such a
weird because both
duo.
of them
really weak.
Don't offer too much damage in terms of gas. If you want to kill a hero, they offer a lot of disable. Like you can live or glimpse, but you don't offer damage output.
Yeah, and something Syndra mentioned was like bullying the IO Tiny in lane. Like you can do it with the Enchantress people, and Enchantress is off lane. Rubik Disruptor aren't heroes that can really bully the IO. They're both kind of squishy. If anything, once Tiny has a few levels, he avalanches, tosses him into tower, and dead support. So
yeah, the Rubik seems really peculiar.
This makes Slark a lot worse. And Slark is like a double-edged sword. The reason I like it is that it's very good at killing Wisp. You just lock it down with Pounce and you kill it off in the backline. Juggernaut can't really Omni-Slash you because you know you have your ult. I think it was Miracle who played Slark earlier today against a Juggernaut, and it was actually really difficult for the Juggernaut to deal with it. Tiny goes both ways though. Like if you go on the Tiny, you risk getting craggy and you just get comboed to death, but at the same time he's also very good to steal stats from.
Blind Pick also blocks some of the other popular LGD carries, like the Morphling line's pretty good against. You've got the Blink Hex, you've got Mana Drain, they go Slack. But yeah, the line against like a Morphling or a Terrorblade, some of the kind of popular silo heroes, is just a really good kind of counter pick, so.
What are the odds of Slark going mid? And then still picking up Spectre, which they like to pick against Iron.
That is
it's
very unlikely.
Okay, I just wanted to throw it out there.
They could still, if they really wanted, they could still try it for that lone druid again, honestly. But that's only because we've just seen them do it. Like they could be that greedy, because that hero is actually pretty good against. Like again, IO Tiny. It's another one of those matchups where they kind of counter each other out to an extent. But it is an option. It seems that LGD's approach in these games we've seen so far is that they pick the two carries. They almost never put maybe on a playmaker. It's way more about him having a farm-intensive hero like Sven, Juggernaut, that kind of stuff. But
Winter's favorite IO Tiny counter is still in the pool.
So that?
Yeah.
Well, my favorite.
Yeah. Every time you see IO Tiny, you're just like, Bristleback, it's the hero. And I think me and Ben were just like, it's like, okay.
Bristol is actually pretty good this game when you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned you're talking about fighting like carries in general. Like it does fit the build. It's not like the hard carry per se, but
I'm still down with Invoker.
Yeah, for LGD.
Yep.
Yeah.
How about NewBee? They need an offlaner. They need an initiating hero that can use the relocate.
Void, let's go.
Void with Tiny Jugger. Yeah.
Maybe Nyx.
5th ban Prophet.
What?
Oh, yeah, Beastmaster's still there. Beastmaster and Nyx seem good. I like the Nyx as far as just having that kind of scouting hero that can look around to set up for the relocate game.
Manhaben's really good versus Enchantress.
I think Nyx is another stun that can go through the Slack Shadow Dance, so you've got a way to kind of control him. And even just initiate on the Slack and set up kills, so.
It's pretty difficult to land Impale in Shadow Dance, because he has so much move speed, and that spell is difficult to land in the first place, but in addition to that, it's just, he's going to get abused in lane, I think.
Any offlane. So because of that, you want an Iron Talon offlane, I think. If this was a single series, like, whoever's playing offlane just needs to get Iron Talon, go jungle. There's nothing you can do against Rubik. Well, Sand King.
It's kind of. It fits the build for a hero that can gank and initiate, and you can jungle with him.
I think if NewBee want to, I do think it is possible for them to run an aggressive trial lane with the Wisp, actually. It's the LGD lane just seems that weak.
With
that
the
it is
Tiny?
possible. They could do IO Tiny Lion, they could do IO Jugger Lion and put Tiny solo mid and just safe lane the Sand King, because then they make sure that Sand King...
though, because it's with Lion. If it's another hero...
Yeah, it is fairly weak, but you just look at the matchup that they're up against, it's not very strong.
But then who do you put against Enchantress? Both the other two heroes are melee heroes.
I think Sand King just farms. Just stand in the lane in Sandstorm.
It is indeed going to be the lone druid as mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Sylar,
team draft.
It's pretty good against IO Tiny with Savage Raw now. You just get it level 2, protects you against a lot of the kill potential of this duo.
It's like you're watching a different world in this matchup between these two teams. They last banned Nature's Prophet and they last pick Lone Druid. And like the other matchup that we've seen today is just the first ban every game.
They are two teams that know each other very, very well. Yeah. So there's
I'm a bit surprised, because I think Nature's Prophet is actually one of ROTK's best heroes, but obviously in this game he got Enchantress. He has been very good with it in the past. He
has been very good in the past, but right now I don't think it's his best hero. Like he's been more suitable. Because in this team, Sylar maybe will take a lot of farm. He
that
needs
is
to
true.
be on someone that takes the least.
Gentlemen, you're no longer couch bound. I want to hear your predictions. Go Winter.
LGD.
Dot.
Gandier.
Is it about which draft is best or who's going to win?
Who you think is going to win based on the draft, or just in general? Who do you think is going to win?
Okay, I think LGD are going to win, but they don't have a better draft.
Yes, I'd say that feeling is Cinderin.
I'm good. I think NewBee are fine, actually. I really like NewBee's draft.
Okay, guys, let's see if NewBee can force that to a third game and prove these analysts Wrong. It is time for game 2 of LGD versus NewBee.
Hey guys, and indeed welcome to game 2 here. LGD versus NewBee with myself, OD Pixel and Draskell. We're good, we're ready to go. And some similarities here from game 1 in terms of draft, and things a little bit different. And the final pick there for NewBee, the 2-lay Sand King coming out this game, man.
Hero that we haven't really seen, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. Curious to see what it's going to be able to get out of this laning phase. There are a couple of things though to worry about, I think, on the side of LGD if you be, and mainly that's having Rubik is really nice against Sand King. It's an instantaneous stun that you can steal. In reality, MMY is going to have like field day of being able to take spells in this game. He can steal like Epicenter, he can steal Finger, getting Omni Slash. We've seen how effective this guy's Rubik can be, so I have very high hopes for him in this game. I do agree with the panel though, and you as well. I like NewBee's draft quite a bit, but LGD, they just
talking about is maybe going to go for this because he could get cliffed.
You can't really get cliffed.
Yeah, already.
I mean,
yeah, he's a freaking. Actually, you know what?
Well, I mean, it's not blocked anyway. Like, there's a tree pad, he can just walk out.
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's on both. Oh, you mean that cliff?
This cliff. I'm talking about this cliff.
Okay.
What cliff are you
I was looking at the other cliff.
I was a tiny at the other cliff.
There's a tiny in the middle of the river.
Oh, you're talking about that cliff?
I don't know.
Cliffs are everywhere. You're talking about that cliff.
The right cliff. That cliff.
But it wasn't the right cliff.
Could have been.
It would have been the wrong cliff.
It was definitely left.
Wow. Like some other people. But anyway, here we go. Game 2. Mid lane at the moment. So the matchup, we've got Tiny against Sylar's Lone Druid of the Day. Of course, Sylar once again on the LD. We still have a really good performance in game 1. In terms of the farm, he found the space, got a decent time on his Radiance. The Midas was pre-6-minute Midas. And off the back of that, they then went forward to obviously win the game. It did take him a fair while. It was about a 58-minute victory. NewBee did show us with that draft. But talking about differences, their draft's very different this game. NewBee, they're not going for any of that kind of push down the lanes, we're on a timer. They got a little bit more late game potential here with the Jug and the Tiny Eye for sure.
Yeah, it's very true. It's a different dynamic lineup. I also think that their lineup in the first game was really good. Kind of surprised that LGD were able to get away with the sheer amount of greed that they actually had there. But the new draft, the new game, I think that NewBee and LGD's drafts are actually relatively close, in my opinion. I think that a lot of it's just going to be dependent on, what the Sand King can get. We were talking about it earlier. Can he get a decent timing on his Blink Dagger? Can Jatule make some big plays here in this match?
RTK at the moment, giving House some on the top lane. He's going to come prancing into the jungle. Lee is there on the Eye and still have this tri-lane here. The question is he going to be enough to deal with the Enchantress, or do you see RTK getting away with quite a bit of it?
It's a little bit tricky. I mean, these supports are a little bit reliant on being able to right-click to be able to deal damage in the early stage. That's just how it works. You can see DDC dealing a little bit of damage here to the Sand King. But with the creep, I think that it's very difficult for just one support to really be able to do anything against RTK. I think Chuan and Lei have to pretty much be next to each other if they want to try to contest this. And it looks like RTK doesn't really have any intention of laning, as he does trying to pressure the middle lane.
Just really keeping him on his toes at the moment on this Tiny. Shut down what he can get, and we're all starting to see Sylar breaking away 12 for 9 against the 6 for 2. I mean, Sylar, he's pretty much not missing a single creep regardless of the side it's on. This is pretty perfect at the moment.
Yeah, I think they're giving a lot more space to the Sand King than even trying to help out mid right now for NewBee, as they will rotate over the Wisp eventually. But I think for the laning phase, LGD are going to have a slight advantage just because Sand King is known as kind of a greedy pick. Especially considering the fact that he needs a decent amount of farm and levels before you're really going to be able to do much of anything. Like the best case scenario is LGD are tower diving, you TP in and get a burrow strike onto somebody and maybe an epi for a counter kill before that Blink Dagger actually becomes available. And who knows how long that's going to be. Like how active are NewBee going to be about stacking the jungle and trying to give him an opportunity to get himself in the game through that avenue, especially with RTK walking around trying to take creeps for himself. So.
Top lane, Hex onto RTK. They're going to move in with the Blade Fury. The stun clipping him, and the Blade Fury's magical damage will be enough. The heal is going to be enough to counteract that, and that's going to be your first split on the board there for Hao on his Jug. MMI was making his way up there, but not there in time to save RTK.
Yeah, well, it's a really nice pick off there. A lane that is actually one of the few that have enough burst damage or damage over time to actually be able to kill, as a lot of the Enchantress players have been favoring getting Chant and then Untouchable over getting the Nature's Attendance. This is one of the first games actually that we've seen where sometimes even at level 2 people go stats and like double enchant. You know, there's a lot of different builds, but RTK has opted to get 1 point here. He's going to see a stun here in middle lane. Just a little bit of harassment. Everyone.
You gotta be careful because MNY is there. We'll see if MNY can set anything up. He's looking for the IO, bringing him back straight away with the root. Sylar allowing them to find that kill, and
the upgrade!
just upgraded in time. It looked as if it touched at the same time, but Sylar, he doesn't care for the courier. He cares for the blood of the Tiny. Double kill for your lone druid in the mid lane. Some beautiful roots, and Sylar already was having an absolute A game in the mid lane. 23-11 in terms of last hits and denies, and 2 kills on the board. It's going to be another ridiculous timing on the Midas in the mid lane.
This is another phenomenal start coming in from LGD, and even getting a little bit of pressure on the tower. I don't think they'll be able to get the kill, but damage is damage at this stage in the game. I will say that it's good that the courier didn't die, but double kill I think makes up for it if you're LGD.
With ROTK here, they are going to be able to do a significant bit. That's going to force out the fort. But I'm excited to see if Sylar can beat his timing. I believe the first game, the timing on the Midas was 5 minutes and 46 seconds. He's going to have a bit of pressure applied to him here. He does have his friends around, but at the same time, NewBee. They've got Mood, Sule, and Lei. We'll back up LGD. Sylar, 450 away from that recipe. But it looks like it's not going to be as fast as game 1, but it's still going to be a pretty incredible timing there for the man. Top lane, Hao and Chuan. The space here to do a bit of their own pushing. And RTK is going to head back up there. He's level 3 now on the edge. He'll come and soak up the XP from this way, but how they want to go for this Chuan. Oh, close enough to get any kind of a lockdown. RTK needs to be careful. Hao does have the Omni Slash. NewBee, they'll find the space here to take the tower.
I'm actually kind of surprised he didn't go for the Omni there. Like, he mangoed and walked forward like he wanted to Omni and then didn't. He only has 522 health. I'm pretty sure RTK would die before the Nature's Attendants were able to heal him up too much, but tower is a tower. You will be okay with it. It's double damage going to be taken here by MMY.
He's going to go for this one. He says, Lei, I'm going to give you a good punch. He does have his mate move, though, so he tethers over. We'll be fine. Then let's check up on the Midas money. Sylar closing in on that one. Looks like it's going to be about a minute slower than game 1, but I think we'll let him off. We'll let him off, Sylar.
Well, he was technically against a dual lane. I mean,
he was doing this game on hard mode.
Yeah. Doesn't seem to affect him too much.
Nope.
I'll give him, an extra minute for playing against 2 heroes instead of 1 this game. I mean, bottom lane, sentry dropped.
Going in, maybe. He's looking for Too Late. I'll get the glimpse back there from TDC on the Disruptor, and Too Late is going to go down. That's a kill there for your Slark. Maybe he's also got a Shadow Dancer. He's going to feel confident sticking around. Just pushing this lane in. And the tier 1. Mid lane moves in trouble. MMY with the telekinesis. They're going to hope for a route. They are going to try to be able to find it. Mood turns around with the avalanche and seeing if he could have got the toss onto the bear to take it down, but it's not going to be the case. They're saving his life. They're unable to find the kill.
This game is going to be very heavily predicated on this Sand King right now, level 5. So that's really good, and he's got about 800 gold. I don't know if he can even go Arcanes. Is the timing that LGD is going to hit, like Sylar, he's already 7, which means that his bear has Demolish, he's got Midas. Probably going to hit roughly the same Radiance time as he did in game 1, assuming he doesn't die. Considering how heavily LGD are pressuring mid too, like they smoke up right now. This is a 3-man gank on mid.
So much pressure on this Tiny. They do not want Mood to get ahead, and Mood starts to move away. Can they get close up to the telekinesis? That is going to be fine. Mood gets up to the high ground. Straight away. Not leaving himself in any danger of being picked up there by the Rubik. Hao and Chuan also smoked up for NewBee. Doug, for the use of the Omni Slash, did just pick up the drums, so they are going to be able to chase and dive. It's going to be the wraparound between the tier 1 and tier 2. Let's see who they find. RTK, which way is he going to wander? On. And the boy there on the high ground, and they're going to just go Prem and White. They'll get the Hex off Hao, moving forward. A couple of right clicks should do it. In fact, it's just going to be the toss and the avalanche straight up from Mood, finding themselves the kill. Hao, oh, he gets rooted under the tower. Sylar and his lone druid. These roots, I mean, he is hitting them every single time.
I think, honestly, though, that was just very aggressive coming in from NewBee. I understand the fact that Hao probably didn't expect to die. Like, that part makes sense to me. I got Spin, I got Omni and TP. I can probably get myself out of the situation. even if I go for a kill, but they knew that there was no Enchantress top, so there had to be a fast reaction from at least one hero, and obviously people are going to be carrying TPs on top of that. But LGD's start just seems to be really strong. Again, DDC almost level 6. It's only 9 minutes into the game. He's going to have that Static Storm ready and waiting. I like the fact that they rotate maybe with MMY when they do that smoke gank, because obviously it allows DDC to get the experience in the lane solo. And because of the fact that NewBee were also rotating on the middle lane at the same time, it was just good luck that LGD were kind of in the area when they were going for the dive and trading a 2-for-1, giving away the kill on the Juggernaut too. Definitely LGD favored.
He's going to head up to the top to get a bit more arm there in a safer position. LGD, they might try and go for something on the bottom lane. Chuan, smoked up. He can get himself into their position. He's nearly got the level 6 and he's going to lead in straight away. And with the Omni Slash, maybe. Oh!
That was close.
He get the Shadow Dance off, but yeah, the regen not enough there to save him from the damage of NewBee. They get the kill that they're after. Big pick off there onto the Slark, and nicely done by Chuan, Tule, and Hao.
That's a really good kill. It opens up a little bit of space for Tule to get closer to his Blink Dagger.
Did Slark get his Midas, even though he was incredibly close to the Midas recipe core?
Yeah, that kill was very costly for LGD. Something that NewBee needed to get themselves back into the game in a big way, and Xylart.
Yeah, I think he's fine with that.
He's
like, you
roared
want
at
to come at me, we'll fight. And actually, talking about Midas for Slark, do you think because this game he did go for the Treads Aquila first, he is just going to go for the Blink, or will he still go for the Midas?
He might.
Last game he went for the Midas straight up first before the Treads and Aquila.
Yeah, he might think the pace of the game is a little bit too fast to warrant buying Midas this game. And I do think that on Slark, if you're going to buy Midas, you want to buy it first because he actually benefits greatly from just getting extra levels in Shadow Dance and being able to max out Pounce and Dark Pact early. He's one of those cores that is about as gold reliant as he is experience reliant. So I do think that he might just forego it completely and just go Blink.
Huh? They're caught up by Telekinesis, so they'll drop the Static Storm for this one. They want to get the return kill onto Hao. They will. Earlier on, just a couple of minutes ago, he may have taken down maybe, but this time the turnaround's there. They'll get themselves the kill on the Jug. They'll look for the tier 1. On it, Chuan's coming in, but he's on his own. Drums now done on Tiny, and again, we're seeing one of those lineups where multiple pairs of drums will be coming out, and a lot of teams doing this, and I guess it is just down to the fact that drums pretty good item at the moment.
I think it's just because the pace of the game has actually become so fast that there aren't really a lot of items that you can buy for the same amount of money that offer the same statistic value as drums do. I mean, it just fits into a lot of these heroes that not only have the ability to play that fast tempo, but just have these early game fighting abilities like the spin, obviously, from Juggernaut and Omni, being able to push, having healing ward, Tiny, obviously, stun toss with Wisp is great. And I think as soon as the Wisp hits 6, that's going to be NewBee's time really to strike here. And we haven't really talked much about it because we've been focusing a lot on the good things that have been going for LGD. But the fact that, I mean, Lei, he's got his urn. He doesn't have boots yet, but get 6, they can actually start trying to do stuff because Disruptor, even though he's good against IO Tiny, he's still very squishy. On openings, and you can get that jump. Very easily see NewBee making their way back into this game.
And especially with the fact that Tule's just picked up his Blink on the Sand King.
Yeah, this is really big. Really strong timing. I mean, they can smoke up with the Blink Sand King and like any other hero, and it should result in a kill.
Maybe does he? It looks like he is going straight for that Blink as we thought he would be. As Nikita first, he's gonna have the money in the bank any second. It's in fact literally right now.
Actually, he might go Shadow Blade. Okay, no, it's Blink. I was just gonna say that if he does go Shadow Blade, it's good against Tiny, and it's good against a Jug, or Silver Edges, rather. The upgrade for it. It gives you a little bit of health, damage, and attack speed, but because of the fact that they have Lone Druid on their team, it's just a really nice item for synergy because you have no catch, really, until you have a Blink on one hero. Slark is a great Blink carrier in this game because you can just pop ulti and pretty safe in most cases. I guess a well-placed Epicenter and a stun could potentially kill you, though.
A smoke up now from the side of LGD. They want to reveal this Blink Dagger with a pick-off. Khan's still hiding in his favorite position. Bottom lane, Hao TPing in. No, he's there. DDC with the Static Storm. If they can get a lead in, ideally with MMY's Telekinesis, they should be able to find this. And Hao again coming incredibly close, and they'll just walk in. Telekinesis and Hao He's gonzo. They're going to send some heroes in retaliation. Moo coming in, gets relocated forward. They'll get themselves one. The second one there, thanks to Chuan with the finger, but maybe still alive. And they clear up 3 heroes there from the side of NewBee, and Slark, he's still sitting at full health.
Very hard to focus down Slark in these team fights if the Sand King's not there. I think that's part of the reason why they wanted to pick the hero. They know that LGD are going to be 5-manning, and because of the fact that he has such an early blink, I feel like going high ground is still going to be a little bit difficult for them. And just having the ability to deal damage through Shadow Dance, whereas before they didn't have a lot of AoE targeted skills. Like it was pretty much just Avalanche, Lion Stun, and Blade Fury, which aren't like amazing by any stretch, considering the fact that maybe you can just pop Dark Pact and get rid of most of the disables. I think it was a nice addition, but it does end up being a tiny bit greedy as LGD walk away with that tier 2. So the first relocate, not super successful for NewBee, but I wouldn't say that that's like game changing or anything. This is still the pace that LGD are looking to play, and they're going to continue to push too, considering the fact that that lone druid is going to be getting closer and closer to that relic. So we're also going to see Chuan drop here.
He's gone, and that was good timing as well for LGD, because Chuan, he was of course saving up for the blink dagger. That is going to be a few hundred gold back off, away from his target. Silent, sign up how with the phasing drums. He can run away any time that he wants. How's the Radiance doing on the bear? He was a relic in, and
he's about 1,000 away.
Okay, it's going to be. I can't remember what time he got the Radiance in the first game, but
it was prior to 20 minutes
similar.
for sure.
Yeah,
it's going to be very fast.
Timing.
But he doesn't have boots on the bear either, so it's a little bit skewed. I think he had boots in the previous game when he had it. But tier 1 going the way of LGD. It's kind of like what Cinder was saying on the couch actually during the post-game analysis for game 1. It was kind of like LGD got away with a really greedy draft in game 1. They picked a draft this game that had more fighting potential than their previous one, where they were relying heavily on MMY's Bounty Hunter to kind of carry them through the early game. This time around, everyone can kind of pull their own weight, and I think it's been reflected pretty heavily in how much of the map control advantage they have right now.
It's just some of the farms insane. You know, the fact that Ench has got her drums, Dragon Lance at 15 minutes. She's pretty much parallel with the net worth of the Tiny, and she's ahead of the Jug. In fact, what's the overall difference looking like between the two teams? It's 7,500, so pretty sizable lead for LGD at the moment. But too late getting the stun to DDC. House can be forward as well. Goes in with the Omni Slash, but the Static Storm does get laid down. It's going to trap Moo in there. Maybe he's just going to start punching away at them. They'll take down the IO. They'll find the Tiny as well. And now with the impetus, chasing down onto How. How incredibly low. Just gets out, but there's your epicenter. Too late. Jumping back in. The stun, the Earth Spike. They catch out too. RTK still alive. He gets fingered in the backside by Chuan. He's down. Starlight TPs himself out of there. So NewBee able to find something in return. They keep How alive. And that was a fight that they did need, but the issue being that they do still not kill the Slark, and maybe walks out of that fight with 3k gold in his bank.
That Slark barely lived. I mean, he was probably like 1 auto attack from death. And the other thing too to note here for this team fight is NewBee did end up expending a buyback on Moo. I think that maybe he underestimated the amount of damage that Epicenter was going to do, or he just felt like that fight was extremely important for them to win, but buying back did waste a little bit of money here, and because of the fact that he spent the money on buyback, he also buys a point booster, so he's not going to go the route of Blink. Pretty much just going to let relocate and double Blink on the Sand King and the Lion respectively, which Chuan picked up right after that team fight too. They're going to let that be pretty much the mode of initiation and just use relocate to kind of follow up the jump, which I think puts LGD in a very precarious situation because now their initiation is nuts. Any point, if Epicenter's off cooldown, relocates off cooldown, fingers off cooldown, any of those abilities, they can go.
Oh, maybe. Let's see if they got the stun locket. With Tiny coming in with the avalanche just there.
That was so nicely done, actually.
Incredibly close, but do get it. That's a nice bit of gold there.
Yeah.
Tiny's going to take that. That will indeed help him towards that Axe late. He's going to be offered up to the gods there with a relocate back. LGD, they were on point. They were ready and waiting. And, okay, Rupik, he's got relocate for himself there. Not the most useful of skills on its own.
Well, you can relocate and do what he's doing now, which is just do a little bit of deep pushing, you know?
I guess so.
Casually visit top lane, and then back to where you were. There are worse spells to steal, I think. The unfortunate part is you can't actually steal, you can't steal Tether and relocate. It would be kind of OP if you could though, right? Being able to steal both abilities with one spell.
Pretty decent. what NewBee are ready to do here. If LGD do come in with the push, I think LGD again is certainly going to be feeling that they are in a position of comfort. I mean, do you feel that LGD are going to feel any need to push too kind of rash? I mean, they've got a Slark, they've got a Lone Druid. Taking that late against a Jug and a Tiny, do you have to favor LGD's two cores?
Well, I think it's a different dynamic. Like, the way that the teams play it out, NewBee have much more pick potential than LGD. LGD really only have one form of initiation, and that's maybe on the Slark. Whereas NewBee have 2 Blink initiators, and they have a Wisp Tiny. So at any point where they feel like they can take an engagement, they're just like, boom, we're there. You know, there's no hesitation, they can just be in. Whereas LGD in a full-fledged 5 versus 5, they still also need to be very wary of things like Epicenter. So as the game kind of stretches out, I would actually say that NewBee probably hold the advantage just because they have more options.
I don't know why. There's a jungle on his own, and he is going to walk into a few of them. He will jump himself away at the same time, but maybe he's going to be jumping in onto Lei. Covers himself across. Now MMY, he was acting as the bait. He drew Moo all the way around the corner. He gets caught in the static storm, will get glimpsed back. Now the impetus flying through from ROTK. Jump in from Maybe. He's chasing this one down. Moo's going to get the backup of Lei, and Lei will save him with the relocate. They'll take the Tiny out of the fight. Out. Should be fine here. Has got a TP. Has Glaive here in the Omni Slash. Looks like NewBee will be able to get themselves out of this one. In fact, Lei. They weren't even hanging around for the IO kill as he's able to tether across to Chuan, and NewBee lose nothing off the back of that.
There's a couple of ultimates exchanged, but nothing really too big either way. Like, Epicenter's still up, Relocate's not that long of a cooldown, Shadow Dance is pretty much the same thing. So they need to be really careful though, they can't corrupt too much.
Around. Boulay. He's got the 2 points in Epicenter. He could try and look for something big, but the Ether Lance as well, it's going to do a lot at this point of the game. And in fact, he just jumped straight in with the Bow Strike. For MMY. Moo trying to get himself closer by the kinetic field. The Savage Roar from Sylar, sending NewBee packing. And NewBee won't quite be able to find that big jump in that they wanted with the defense, but they do hold on to the tier 2, and they do force LGD to back down.
It's really unfortunate that the NewBee didn't have a lane ward there, because when they walked up, LGD dropped one just to see if there was going to be anyone else coming. Ended up that ward allowed them to drop that kinetic field, just stop them from progressing and starting the team fight, because as soon as that Tiny goes in, the Sand King can like reset and go for an Epicenter, but if they had that ward, they could have easily seen the 2 supports were right on top of each other. An Epicenter like that just wins.
Jumping in onto Moo. Moo turns around with the combo. In fact, the combo just blows up Slug. All right. Nice Slug you got there, Moo. He's wandering around. He doesn't know what he's doing there. He's trying to walk towards the wrong base. He's dead. How? Gets the Omni Slash just before he dies, but he will die indeed. 2 for 1 at this point. Tule rooted up. Sylar clearing this one up at the moment for the side of LGD. They do get 3 in trade of the Slug.
That was a really bizarre
Slug
fight.
Just disappeared.
Yeah, that's the one reason why I think that when you itemize Slark, like this build, because of the fact that he goes for Yasha instead of going for the Scotty, like he wouldn't have had it now, obviously, but he would be very close. You need the stats to live through burst damage. So if you can't live through like a finger or a Tiny combo or something like that...
And he was on Agi Treads.
Well, I mean, I think he was dead anyway. But either way.
I don't know, Matt.
It's a more farm-oriented build, okay.
Okay.
Bear down, boys.
That's bestiality, boys. Don't try it, huh?
Well, it's 300 gold, that's what it is.
Actually, do try it, and then 300 gold. Deal.
No, really. It's bad.
Speaking from experience,
I mean, I just don't want anyone going to jail alone.
Yes, we don't want that. 10 for 16 at the moment. Net worth still in favor of LGD. I mean, what the NewBee have to do to kind of really swing the back? We saw them there, how easy they can kill the Slark because of the situation.
Well, that
they do have the one, if they can get the jump, which they've got a lot of heroes that can jump in. They've got the catch.
Yeah, it's not a matter of having the catch or not. It's just the way that team fight kind of rolled out. I think the Tiny just assumed that he was dead. Like, he killed the Slark, gets glimpsed, and he's like, okay, I'm dead, but I'm going to try to deal a little bit of damage, so he runs, tries to hit somebody. Problem is, the Sand King didn't get Epi off. Exjactule needs a good Epicenter in those kind of situations if you've already traded your only real like strong bursting core. So it was a weird engagement, to say the least, and I don't think that NewBee want to take fights that way. They want to be trying to pick, and they don't want to be taking the full-fledged engagement unless the Sand King is ready. Throws out a casual Burrow Strike into Disruptor when they're carrying sentries, and they also have a Rubik. You're just going to get it stolen, and you're going to get blown up.
as we were saying, NewBee, they certainly got the tools to pull off something big in these fights. You do make these mistakes, and now Antoine, Iki here on the tree line on the bottom. They're able to get some kind of jump if LGD come out. It's just going to be solo with the bear. Slowly farming out the creep wave with the Radiant Spur. How? Still waiting. I think someone's going to bite. Come out the lane, but LGD just playing very carefully at this point. Pings towards the top, lines are being drawn as well. Smoke. And DDC, RTK, and MMY to try and get in position. And Moo and Lei are here. Moo dropping his way into the tree line, and that could be some smart play from Moo because he TP'd straight out of there. And that was a good move from Moo. Lei's going to go for the TP as well, but they've got the glimpse. Io won't be as lucky as the Tiny. Moo, the smart decision to get himself the hell out of there.
It's very good awareness. But more importantly, MMY got his hands on Overcharge. Best spell ever. But in all seriousness, it's LGD controlling the map. Like, they're just going everywhere looking for the team fights. They're not really letting the Io and Tiny farm on their own accord, which is something that you very commonly see, and a big reason why I think they're warding the way that they are too, is it's very common to see the Io Tiny just being together, pushing out lanes that are close to the base, farming the woods, generally playing safe and or off map because they know they can always get to the fight. There's never going to be a stage where the Io Tiny can't be there as long as relocate is available, so the way that they're playing around it is just pressuring those heroes directly, making it so you never have to worry about the surprise factor of them just coming into a team fight when you try to go for maybe like kill on Hao, for example. So pressure continues. This ward might pay off.
And Tule is about to feel some of this pressure. LGD looking for a bit of a wraparound. They're going to jump straight in with the telekinesis from MMY. Bam! Tule caught out and taken down. He's out for the count for 50 seconds. No buyback here on the man, and LGD look this period as an opening to just go in for the Roshan and deal with out the Sand King. It's going to be pretty hard for NewBee to contest.
Yeah, this is a really tough game for Sand King, to be honest. Telekinesis is such an annoying spell because if you're sitting in Sandstorm, even without detection, you can very easily just throw Telekinesis, one of the people onto you, you get stunned. There's Static Storm, there's mass entries like Glimpse, is just a total nightmare. And you kind of have to be one of those guys who has amazing positioning throughout all the team fights because without your ultimate, the team fight is super hard to win. And not only that, but the higher level MMY gets, like he's 11 now, he's going to start getting more points in a null field. He might even opt to go for something like a pipe because he's sitting on 2200 gold, or maybe he just goes, you know, full YOLO buys an Aghanim stuff. Top.
And Moo, he's having some with Sylar. MMY with the Stolen Stun from the Sand King jumps in. This Io, he's had to bail out Moo a fair few times, and late this time, there's not going to be any Chuan to tether to. The man's going to be dead, and talk about being dead. How? Caught out in the mid lane here, and this man, he's a dead man, can't get himself out. The controller, more than enough for Disruptor. At the same time, of course, LGD did pick off Io on the way back in, and maybe he spots out more with the ward there by the secret shop, jumping up to the high ground, looking for Tule. Tule will get themselves the blink out. Be a blink picked up on the jug, and the 4-staff now on the line. So if you need mobility, NewBee have got it covered. But LGD got the team fight control with the disruptors. We saw that from DDC.
Yeah, the blink dagger is kind of a nice choice because in a perfect world you can blink and then find like the enchantress, or you can go for the disruptor, get like short kills that are fairly high priority. But the problem is there's glimmer on the disruptor right now, and MMY has almost got a full Yules. So both of those heroes are going to have ways of stopping your ultimate. And comes LGD just massacring the mid racks right now of NewBee, and there is just no rebuttal whatsoever.
Stun and finger onto maybe. It's not enough burst, though. He stays alive. Tule did jump in there with the epicenter. It's not quite enough damage, though. They're all still alive on the side of LGD, and it's going to be 2 dead on NewBee. How? Moving forward with the Blade Fury, trying to find MMY. The kinetic field gets dropped down. No! MMY steals the Blade Fury. Oh, and he's going to kill himself. No, he still goes down to the Omni Slash. It's 2 for 1 at this point, maybe. Clearing up on the back lines. Moo jumping in with a combo. Looking for Sylar. Is it enough damage? No! Sylar's going to be able to walk it off. RTK throwing the impetus into the face of Tiny. It's an ultra kill for maybe as he's just cleaning up this fight. And an incredibly painful one there for NewBee. There's only buyback available on Moo's Tiny. And that could be game ending here. NewBee needs something big. They've got to wait 30 seconds really before they've got Jug in that line. Did they just GG out? It's all too much. LGD do it there with that final advance. And the slug just got too fat.
LGD just played so well this game. Honestly, I gotta
play so well this series.
Oh, of course. Even in the last series, I got to give a shout out to my boy MMY. He played a very, very impressive Rubik this game. And
Nice top.
just the amount of time that he was able to buy in the team fight, like, it seems like small stuff, but just living for a couple extra seconds, forcing a core to decide if he wants to commit to you, like, how's, like, do I go for the kill? Do I not go for the kill? Okay, well, now I'm dead because I tried to kill the Rubik. Obviously, LGD were already in a very, very good position, but, man, they look pretty darn scary.
They do indeed, and of course, the only Chinese team that will be going through to the upper bracket then, LGD.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. So
far.
Chinese support is going to be rallying themselves behind LGD, I'm sure. And that is it, of course, for the games today. But don't go anywhere. We're going to head ourselves straight back over to the panel.
Welcome back here. LGD 2-0. They be second in